The Urbanist is brought to you in association with the Department of Culture and Tourism, Abu Dhabi. Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi is a beacon of hope and inspiration. A catalyst to spark growth and collaboration with museums and experiences, where art and science and nature and technology coexist.
The belief of Abu Dhabi that culture is the backbone of our society.
Stay tuned for a special episode of the show, in which you can hear His Excellency Mohammed Khalifa Al Mubarak explain exactly why and how Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi is the perfect place to collaborate, create and innovate. Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi, proud partner of The Urbanist on Monocle Radio.
Cities can be bright and noisy places. So where do we go when the big lights get too much? And how do we protect against the encroaching threat of noise pollution? You're listening to Tall Stories, a Monocle production brought to you by the team behind The Urbanist. I'm Andrew Tuck. In this episode, Mandy Sinclair takes us to a nocturnal preserve not far from the city centre of Kelowna in Canada's British Columbia.
Some 12 kilometers from downtown Kelowna, in British Columbia's interior, sits the 400-acre Johns Family Nature Conservatory, a plot of land donated by Nancy and Alfred John to the Central Okanagan Land Trust to manage the park with the hopes of conserving the land and keeping it for future generations to enjoy. With views of the city of Kelowna and surrounding communities in the distance from multiple vantage points, in 2019, the elected Regional District Board of Directors decided to pursue obtaining a nocturnal preserve designation from the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada to amplify the status of this important parkland, not just for visitors like myself, but for the natural world as well. I joined Rose Monder, an interpreter and event planner with the Regional District of Central Okanagan, to understand more about this designation and what was required before the park earned its status in May 2023, making it Canada's third nocturnal preserve.
It's a special park because it was actually family, Alfred and Nancy Johns. They were siblings, and they donated 323 acres in 2011. And so this was considered one of the largest land donation in the history of the province of BC. The Central Okanagan Land Trust, they signed a 99-year lease with the regional district. And so being in the central region of the Okanagan, we're connected to Kelowna, but we're also connected to Peachland, Lake Country, Fintry, like we're kind of in the middle. Connections with the whole region helped with the park, but also moving it forward to get a nocturnal preserve designation. In 2019, the Regional District Board, the Board of Directors, voted that we should pursue going after this nocturnal preserve designation. So that money and time from the parks team would go towards filling out the applications and doing what's needed to help create this park that the district was asked to manage and look after. We needed the support of the regional board to say that this is where we should put our efforts and time and energy. And of course, that board is elected officials, so it's coming from the community. The Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, they have different designations that organizations in parks and protected areas are aiming to obtain. Some of them are a little bit more robust. There's like dark sky preserves, and then we're nocturnal, which means there is light in our area. And the Bortle scale goes from 1 to 10, 1 being the darkest skies that you can have. That would be like if you're in a cave and all the lights are out. And then more of a city dark night would be around 8 or 9. We're probably more around a 6. So we know that there's still lights that are impacting our area, but at the same time, they're minimal. And in order to get the designation, we had to go out quite regularly and track the lighting. And all these readings are given in to the Royal Astronomical Society. And then they check on a lot of things, like they're checking on light fixtures, what kind of lights are we using, just making the right decisions for that particular area. So a lot of it has to do with, what kind of animals, what kind of birds, What's the habitat? Is it well protected? Is it being looked after? So there was a lot of components to it, and it took about 2 years.
The Okanagan Valley, where the park, and now Nocturnal Preserve, is located, is surrounded by nature. Lakes, wetlands, rolling hills, but also fruit farms and even a renowned wine region. I was keen to know what this designation meant not only for the animals who call this area home, but the benefits to humans as well.
When you think about 50% of our animals are nocturnal, 50%. So you want to make sure that you're creating spaces for those animals and birds to operate in. And then there's tons of frogs, for example, in the springtime, and you hear them chirping and making their noises, and they're finding their mates. And they need the night sky to kind of be alerted that it's bedtime. They're eating the mosquitoes, they're eating the bugs. You need bugs. They operate at night too. If you have too many light fixtures, like bugs are moving towards lights rather than thinking it's like the moon or the night sky, and it impacts. The reality is that we want these bugs on the landscape because our birds are eating them, the frogs are eating them, and they're the food source for all these other bigger animals. When I'm thinking of birds, a lot of times they migrate at night. Thermals in the sky are a lot lower, and so they're able to fly a lot more easily. And then when you think of how important our birds are, they're our pollinators. So it's all interconnected, particularly the importance of night and day. We need it both. So if we can have spaces that allow for dark sky, we're creating better habitat for wildlife. And then we're also creating better spaces for ourselves as people.
Rose pulled out light maps and explained that the city has seen a reduction in light pollution over the past 10 years. And so she believes every citizen has the ability to speak up when something like a new building is going up and question what kind of exterior lights may be installed, not only for human benefit, but for animals flying over the area and accustomed to using the stars to navigate their way. But more than just the health benefits, we chat about how for millennia, cultures around the world have been enamored with the night skies. And it's a trend the park is seeing at the moment as they introduce programming ranging from citizen science to full moon hikes after the sun sets.
One of the things with achieving the designation is them recognizing that we have a strong visitor service parks education component through the Regional Parks program, and knowing that we can provide guided walks and services and events and activities that will help highlight the importance of having dark skies and why they're important in our neighborhoods, why they're important in our natural areas. And so to create an opportunity that can bring people together in a safe way and to go out for a nice walk, or maybe just to sit on the grass and look up at the sky and bring out a telescope.
And so while city life may have its conveniences, 24-hour fitness centers, corner shops, and supermarkets, Rose concludes by saying,
I get that we have these services that are going nonstop, but at the same time, I think there's an appreciation and a recognition that actually stepping away and going to see dark skies is actually quite a privilege, to have the time to be able to look at the sky for its beauty and listen to the sounds of the night. Yes, wildlife needs it, but we need it too.
Tool Stories is a Monocle production from the team behind The Urbanist. This episode was written by Mandy Sinclair and produced and edited by David Stevens. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive new episodes every week. I'm Andrew Tuck. Goodbye. Thank you for listening, City Lovers.